Everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So we have a discussion today. We're going to be looking at a few things. So far, so good. We kind of get the sense that there is a little bit of maybe potential delays coming up with the Division content. Now, this may not be the case. One thing that I think the producer of this game, he is an outright troll. He keeps making these posts that make you go, oh my goodness, what is he talking about this time? In fact, his last post said something like, oh boy, Monday is going to be good. I mean, if the producer of the Division 2 game is actually saying that, it could mean that there might be something coming, or there might be some huge sarcasm behind that tweet. So he is not helpful at all in terms of finding out any information, which, in all honesty, he doesn't owe me any information, if you get what I mean. But I think I wanted to go ahead and highlight something that Epic Slayers, and I think another content creator, maybe Rogue Gold, talked about this. And I watched Epic Slayer's video, so this is where I saw it. So I'm just going to give credit to him in that sense, because he mentioned that there was a hiring that was going on in Ubisoft Shanghai. In fact, one of my audience members actually pointed to that video and said he was sick and tired of speculation. So I wanted to go ahead and say, if you don't want to watch a speculation video in this vein, feel free to just close this video so you don't get mad at me, because we love to speculate in this community. It's something that we enjoy doing. So you may indulge us, or you may basically kind of like, put us aside for today. No hard feelings. Now, the post went ahead to request something about a, senior designer or something that would be willing to work on PvP maps, and it was under the hiring of the Division 2. And so this was actually really cool, because a lot of people are interpreting this to mean, oh, they're probably going to be bringing some new PvP maps and some new PvP content and all of this stuff. And some people are saying, well, I guess we'll see it when we see it. So here's the thing. They've been hiring for the Division support for a long time. And the way the job description is should not give us any reason to say that that's what it is at face value. It may be a shroud, because Ubisoft and their studios are all about the shroud and hiding all kinds of stuff from people. Now, let me draw your attention back to the Division 1 days. And this is where I think our speculation has to be much different in this community, because we have at least 2 to 3 years of a previous game and its cycle in the studio. So when I get some comments saying all you do is speculate, I'm like, my speculation is not empty. It's based on patterns that I've seen before. So I usually push back, because I'm not drawing anything out of thin air. Back in the Division 1 days, when we look at Massive Studio and their hiring, they would just have the things like, oh, we're hiring for the Division. And this time they were already working on the Division 2, and they put the job posting as the Division. So there are two possibilities. They're probably hiring for the Division 2, or they're hiring for some kind of Division project that they have not told us about. It could be any of them, but why would they have a job posting showing something of that nature? Now, here are my thoughts. I think for sure the developers have been able to kind of figure out at this point an earful of exactly what they think players would want. For the Division 1, they came very strong on the PvP emphasis. You go in the light zone, you farm, you do some missions. Now you got to go in the dark zone and you got to get that shooting going on. You know what I'm talking about? And then people were like, we don't want to do this. I know it's hard for some Division PvP players to admit, and I've said this many times, that the Division 1, its PvP appealed to a very select audience. It's the truth, because the heavy-handed nature of PvE improvements in the next game, in my opinion, tells me that they looked and said, yo, we gotta cater to the PvE community. Now, even if you disagree that this was not the case, which some people have and many agents will, it is still the PvE side that seems to be attracting a lot more dollars. So whether you're a PvE player or more of a PvP player, the PvE side seems to be in a position to market and earn them more money. So I see how their slant towards the PvE dominated the Division 2 game. The money is what these businesses are here for. Now, how they go about getting the money, that's another question. We got to make sure that we're talking about ethical things. And if anything is unethical, we got to point it out. But a design decision to make money, to pay salaries, to me, I can't be mad about, because it's okay for people to get paid for the work that they do. And so I think that's actually a fair transaction. You can argue with that with me on another forum. I'll be happy to take you on. So if you kind of think about it, if they're working on a PvP aspect to bring to the Division franchise, there's actually a huge possibility that goes into this. If they're still going to be using the Division 2 as the framework for this so-called new direction or new management or new design senior person that they're looking for, then I foresee that they're probably going to be looking at a revamp. A revamp is probably not going to cost them as much as the production of a brand new game. It may be feasibly, something that they can actually use to present to their investors that they're trying to be as prudent as possible. And it may be something that fiscally there's something that makes sense, because already it makes a whole lot of sense to have a lot of people who already have installed the Division 2 just hop on over to a new content base, a new content series, than it might be to get an entire new crowd to purchase a new game. So these are my thought processes when I say, well, it looks like to me a revamp is the logical side to go on. It could also be that Ubisoft follows their tradition, which is basically making a brand new game. They do it all the time. I know somebody told me the other day and said, well, I don't like this notion of a sequel every time because it really doesn't allow for these companies to bear down and fully flesh out their games. To an extent, I agree, but to another extent, with these kinds of games, when the game's life cycle has reached a specific point, you are in a position where you come to terms with people who may be potential agents to join the game, are lost or eventually drop the game. This is something that a lot of people who played Destiny will tell you. Me, I picked up Destiny at one point and I dropped it because it was overwhelming. Learning curve, all of the different things I had missed out on, expansions, missions, bounties, lore stuff, everything was just too much. In fact, I think it got to the point where the developers were floating the idea of sunsetting specific things. So if the developers actually continue to expound upon the Division 2, don't be surprised if they collapse a whole lot of different structures that have already been built before so that they can pursue expanding the game. Because technologically wise, I think it might be something that's actually in the forefront, something that they have to consider. How are they going to run an extra expansion on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One? This is something they have to consider now. It's not impossible. They can do it. All they have to do is have you load into another huge session, but you probably have to download another 29 to 30 gig of map on your existing Division game. Lord help that game and help that console. And at the same time, then you have to have that game kind of run all of the different processes regarding your progress, that's server side and even on your side. Now, it's not out of the question, like I said, but it would have to go there. But what does that progression even look like for the current player and the new player? Is it a thing where they're going to give us another set of missions and another map and another set of control points and all of the different things that are already in the base structure of the Division 2? Are these things going to be that attractive? Or is it just going to be something where many of us grind it and we forget it? Because if you think about the New York map, it's not necessarily, in my opinion, somewhere that I spend my time hanging around. It's just the truth. In fact, the other day we were hunting, hunter masks, and I said to myself, I never come here. If there's nothing to do in New York, I hardly ever find myself in this map, because the New York idea, to me, would have probably done well if they had created it in a different season and used the snow emphasis. So there's a case for and against a new game and for and against an expansion in my mind. But with these hirings, I'm not oblivious to the fact that they are working on something, and I think it's something that is actually, in a sense, probably bigger than we expect. It may not be the so-called new content, I know, but the Division is something that Ubisoft will continue to work on because that's their baby. For those who may think that the Star Wars and the Avatar project are going to take over the Division, I think you may have to go back and look at Ubisoft's earning call publications. If you look at this, you're going to see that there is no way that Ubisoft is in the mood to abandon the Division 2. Perhaps they may postpone it in terms of continuing Division 2 or maybe another Division title in the future, but it does not, in my opinion, spell that this is a title that they're taking for granted. But I'll talk to you guys in another video. This is just basically my opinion so far about these hirings. I've done a whole bunch of other coverage regarding this stuff, but I just wanted to quickly comment on it. But that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.